Welcome to the Grown Folks Table. Pull up a seat and be ready for real women discussing real issues at the table. And now your host, Alicia Cash, Vicki Turner, Dr. Levy, Dolores Grizzle, and Joyce Littell.
Welcome to the table. Welcome to the Grown Folks Table podcast. We're so glad to be at the table today, and we're pulling up to the table talking about Beyond Black Girl Magic. Yeah. Wow. Vice President Kamala Harris and now confirmed U.S. Supreme Brown Jackson are representing for the sisters. And so we want to continue to be in the flavor of what I like to say, Beyond Black Girl Magic. Y'all tell me, how did you all feel seeing her being confirmed and as the Supreme Court Justice?
It was a moving. What I loved was she looked like me.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, I mean, I embrace the diversity in our race, that you have lighter complected brown skin and you have chocolate. Yes. She's a chocolate drop like me.
Yes.
And so when I saw her, and then she had her hair looked like my hair.
Yes.
And, and she was a proud sister. Yes. And she sat there very poised.
Yeah.
And she was being drilled and she was being grilled and she picked at, poked at, and she took it with such grace.
Yeah. Yes.
And so it meant a lot to me because I could see her emotions in her face, but she kept it together.
Yeah.
And so what I saw the future for our children, for our daughters. I saw the possibilities.
Yeah.
And it took years. It took years to get to that point.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I lived to see it in my lifetime. But it gives me hope for my daughter and my granddaughters that we can go as far as we want to go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, and there's a way to do it. She paid the price to get there. She paid the price.
And one of the things I was going to ask, what's next?
Yeah, I don't know what's next. Who knows? Who knows? Though?
Yeah.
Maybe the White House. Who knows? But anyway, I just felt hope.
Yes.
Stacey Abrams is next.
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what's next. So we'll see that black girl magic here in Georgia, which we need that. I think in these red states, we need to see our faces, faces that we know growing up, people that we've seen, our hue, our hair, like you're saying, Vicki, and intellect.
Yes.
I think these people are educated. They have done the work, their experience. And Justice Brown Jackson, I think what she did, she broke a lot of barriers, not only just for African American women, but she also showed she did it for the interracial community. And I think that was very important for young girls who are mixed, who are interracial, who are, biracial, to be able to see that they also, too, have a place. Because that's another thing that they deal with is finding where they fit. Am I African American? Do I consider myself white? Do I put myself as other? Where do I fit? So I think what she did, she showed that there was no longer a ceiling. We don't have to identify in one place or another, but we are woman.
Yes.
And African American woman, that's a big and huge thing. We have to say that Kamala Harris actually paved the way for these things.
Yes.
I think getting her in and proving that a black woman can be in leadership in such a high role showed that we are ready now to have a black woman as a Supreme Justice. Although they tried to take her out.
Yes.
They tried to do everything they could to keep her from getting that seat. But she did, as you said, Vicki, she handled herself very well. She held up well. She knows her stuff. And she had numbers and statistics that nobody could touch.
Right. Absolutely.
And with that being said, here is the most important thing for me in this, and I've said this before at the table, to me it's important to be an African African American woman, but it's more important to be a prepared African American woman.
Yes.
So that when you get to that table, that we can celebrate you in the fullness of who you are, for what all you've done, where you came from, and we can also tell the other young girls who are coming up and young women who are coming up that there is a stage for you, but you have to be prepared for the stage. There are no handouts in this world.
Right.
We have to work for what we get, and when people put their hands to the plow and do not look back, God grants them favor, doors open. There is no more ceilings.
You know what?
That's
it. I want to jump in because I mentor to some young women in my profession. Yeah. And when I bring them in and I ask them, for certain things, and they can't answer me, I'm upset. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because it's all about preparedness.
So to show
be prepared, and I'm so glad, Dr. Libby, you mentioned that. Yeah. Please let us all be prepared. Yeah. We all five couldn't sit at this table and chat the way that we chat and feel proud about it.
Absolutely.
If we aren't prepared. Absolutely. Because it's going to be eyes and ears on us. Yeah. And they're going to have something to say if we don't deliver it. Right. To the manner in which we can stand behind it.
Exactly.
And that's what these women right now, that's what you all right here in this room do. Yeah. You can stand behind who you are. Yeah. And the opportunities that come before you. Yeah. And you step in that thing and say, come on. Yes. Let's go. That's what I love.
Joyce, as an educator, and I'm a mother of two of my children had late birthdays. And so you, as a mom, you see their brilliance and you want to accelerate it. And so coming to Georgia, they had to be held back, right?
Right.
That bothered me as a mother until I became an educator. Yes. When I became an educator and I saw students and received students, and one of my colleagues said something to me, many people said things when I didn't agree with holding my child back. Right. But one of my colleagues said something that really stays with me, and I share it. She said, never accelerate your children.
Sure.
Just because. Don't have them miss grades. Yeah. Don't have them skip grades. Enrich them. Yes. Enrich them. And she did just like this example. Yeah. Expose them to opportunities, to camps, to science camps and STEAM camps and writing camps. Yes. And then it makes for a well-rounded education.
Absolutely. Right.
When you skip steps, and that's what Joyce and I talked about earlier. We celebrate millennials, but millennials are so passionate they want to skip steps. Yeah. You need to back it up and get prepared to get to the table because oftentimes the table has been spread for you.
Yeah, right.
But when you show up at the table, you are not prepared to sit there because you skip steps.
Yes. Look at, just Stacy. Let's just look at her. And then Dolores, I would love to hear from you with 100 and that how y'all are empower women. But let's look at Stacy. Here's what she does. She did not win the first time. That's right. And people were saying, what are you going to do? Are you going to try to run for the White House? Oh, yeah, I'm going to run for the White House, but just not right now. She stayed the course of her path because there are steps sometimes to the stage. Yes. So she knows that. And that's what I love I just absolutely love Stacey Abrams because I think she is a smart woman, a patient woman, and that's who you want in office. Yes. You don't want anybody to rush to the table. You want people to say, okay, I didn't win. Let me go back and see what I can do. Yes. Guess what I can do? Yes. I can deal with voter suppression. Yes. I can work with these absentee ballots. Yes. I can work with making sure that these voter boxes, the voting the voting box that we vote through, make sure those things are right and accurate. She went to work to make sure that when she does get in position, she can say what she did to get Georgia better. It wasn't the Secretary of State that did it. He is just a product of the work that she has done.
Yes. Right. But one of the things I have to make sure that I always bring back to the table because I was one that was advocating for an African American woman being in the position and looking at the Rolodex of women that was presented to us at the time. And on that day when she was confirmed, I wrote an article and it was titled "The Day That Opportunity met qualifications.
Come on.
Because it wasn't that we didn't have a Rolodex of qualified women.
Yeah.
It was just the opportunity had not been available.
That's right.
And so a lot of times, I don't believe that she was the first African-American woman out of 122 years that was qualified to sit on the Supreme Court justice. It was just her timing.
Yeah, timing is
and
everything.
it was that President Joe Biden provided her the opportunity. And a lot of times talent is overlooked because opportunities are not provided for women of color.
Yes.
And so we have to continue to look at this movement and look at this as an opportunity to make sure that we push other qualified women, because we have a pipeline full of qualified women to operate at C-suite executive levels, to operate at levels of influence, and we have to provide them the professional development that will allow them to feel confident and prepared. A lot of times we're just missing. It's not that the women can't do it. They're just not given the opportunity. And many times men and our Caucasian men are given opportunities that they don't even qualify for.
That's right.
And we have been
deserve.
And as a society, we have been conditioned to accept that, to accept that, swallow it, and be okay. But then here we come as African-American women, we pigeonhole ourselves to, oh, does she check all the boxes? Oh, does she have X, Y, and Z? And so I'm so glad that that particular day, April 7th, 2022, that the Justice Brown Jackson was able to be confirmed, not just based off of her being an African-American woman, but that particular day, qualifications met opportunity.
That door was open.
Yes.
See, that's what we forget. We think, oh, we can just go and be this. We can just go and be that. Yeah, we can have aspirations, but there has to be a cracked door. And when the door cracks, we gotta get into the window. We have to get into that door. That's the other thing. That's why preparation is key.
It is.
People are. There's a lot of folk going to the door. And they're gonna sift through it, and they're not gonna look for us.
Yes,
they're not gonna look for us. But what makes us stand out is, like I said, like a Stacey Abrams, like the work that Justice Brown Jackson has done. Her statistic, they could not touch her.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I would say when we go back to the 2020 election, Kamala Harris, that election did stimulate,
Yes,
I
it
think,
did.
a lot of women to want to run for office. And when you think about, there are 6 black women running for governor. Running for governor right now. We talk about Boston, Texas, Oklahoma.
That's right.
But I am so excited just to see that. And when we think about even at the local level, I could just name 5 wonderful women who are running at the local level. I would give them a shout out in all the different districts, but you all are seeing hear about that these women now, they feel the motivation, they got the energy, they're inspired, that they know they can do it. I love just watching the kids saying, I can be a Supreme Court justice.
I love it.
That is the most incredible thing I've seen and heard. And they're trying to wear the little robes and everything, but because they can. And I think about when I was growing up as a kid, all we thought about was going to work for corporate America, going to work for Bell South.
That's right. Yes.
But now these kids, it's higher
It's
than
wide
that.
open.
It's judge. I want to be a Superior Court
President.
judge,
President.
something, a president, right? Because my little grandson used to grow up, we used to tell him, you can be the next Barack Obama.
That's right.
But I just think you just set the bar high.
Yeah.
You set the bar
You
high
do.
because these children today can achieve almost any
Anything.
and everything.
Yes, they can.
Yes.
But I do know there are more platforms now that are trying to teach these young women about running for office.
That's
Yes,
right.
I
That
love
is
it.
out there. We're huge. 100 is definitely huge.
That's
on
what's needed.
Preparing women to run for
Yes,
office.
yes.
And so I think a lot of these young women with these political science degrees, a lot of women who've had further education had not thought about it. Even there are women, I think one of the women who actually running for governor was a teacher for 30 years.
Yes.
But because of just some of the laws and just trying to get bills passed, she was just frustrated. Why she threw her name in
the hat.
too.
Yes.
But people run for so many different reasons, but at least they're not afraid now.
Yes.
They know I can do it, I can run, and I can win.
Can I throw a curveball real quick? Let's talk about Senator Cory Booker during the during the confirmations and during the question times. We talk about women's empowerment, women being liberal. And so for a while, people were saying that women were being so progressive that they weren't necessarily not making space for Black men, but almost as if we weren't collaborating or it didn't seem like it was a partnership. And when I say that day, Senator Cory Booker stood in the gap for Justice Brown Jackson, it put us on a map of unity in a different space. You know, it just did something for African American women and African American men, because he reminded her that, you know, we're not gonna let anything steal your joy today. He motivated her. He encouraged her to kind of keep going, and that is what we need. And he reminded her of what it felt like when he first got there, and there was no other people there that looked like him. And so he was able to resonate with her what it's like to be in a space and being the only one. And I liked that. I liked it so much that it just did something for African American women and African American men, saying that we are obtaining this space together. What about you all? What did you think?
You know what? I felt that too.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan of his.
Okay.
I didn't dislike him, so I don't want to say that. But, you know, I knew of him. I followed him loosely. But that day, he put a stamp or footprint on me because he spoke up for us.
Yes. Yes.
And I said, what power the Black man covered his woman.
Yes, absolutely.
And he said, you'll not treat her like this.
Yes.
You'll not steal my joy. You will not. I could have, if I'd be a groupie now of his. I'd be a stalker because I've always felt he was a little silent.
Yes.
But something, I guess if you touch a Black man's woman,
right? Yes.
And, you know, and it was just, this is my woman. She's a part of me.
Yes.
You know, she's a sister girl, and you will not.
Right.
And so I just, I applaud that man.
Yes.
I told everybody.
Yes.
If you go to YouTube, look at it again.
Yes.
You need to see that about Cory Booker because I celebrate that man.
I immediately texted Libby. I said, "Oh my God, he's gonna make her cry."
You know, I'm gonna have to
crying.
go back and watch that. But when I think about some of those questions, because I was in and out of it, but those of us who work like in corporate America and maybe a lot of jobs, you deal with that every day. Yeah. You deal with a lot of those questions when you think about we're in that space of the white man. Even like these women who are running for office, I'm just proud of them because a lot of those seats been held by men or Black men for so long.
Yes.
And I do think it is our time, and I think they're running at the right time.
That's what I was going to say. Cory Booker could speak up on the floor because of timing.
Yes.
The same way that Rosa Parks got all of the attention when there was other people that did the same thing that she did and nobody noticed them at all. Timing is everything in progression of history. Yes. And so when we talk about trying to move forward and things we're trying to do for African American women, he was able to do that again because the door got cracked and they put the doorpost in there and the door is still cracked. So once you had that Kamala Harris get in, once you had really President Barack Obama, once you got him in the door and you had Michelle Obama First Lady Michelle Obama to get in the door and to make that representation, and then you had the Kamala Harris. I never forget when Kamala Harris walked down and First Lady Michelle Obama pointed her and gave her a point. Because what she was saying to her is that this time is you.
Yes.
I did the work that I had to do. The baton now passes to you. Yes. And so now there is a Cory Booker has not been the Lone Ranger Black person sitting in the floor by himself and afraid to be able to have that speak up. Yes. He now can speak up, but now because he's in a protected class almost now. Yes. And so it is timing. But what we do in the space of timing is what's important. We have to capitalize on the moment, as he always says, capitalize on the moment. And again, I'm big on preparation. be prepared, because you never know when it's just going to be your turn. Sometimes it just happens overnight.
And you don't have time to get ready.
You don't have time to get ready.
Right. And when I say
stay ready,
he sees
stay
the
ready,
moment.
baby.
Yeah.
He sees the moment. He took all of his 20 minutes to go in. He didn't ask her not one question. He took 20 minutes to build her back up.
Yes.
Yeah.
20 whole minutes to remind her that she deserved to be there.
Who you
Yes.
are.
20 whole minutes to remind her
Yeah.
of where she was going to go in the future.
Yeah.
And he reminded her what her tomorrow was going to look like.
Yeah.
What did you
Yes.
think about it, Joyce?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you know, it was just a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
To see people standing up for someone else.
That's right.
I mean, we're getting back to that. You know, when I listened to my mother and when my grandparents were still alive, I would hear how they talked about other members of the church and being there in support of. And I hear, you know, how some of my mother's living friends are in support of what each of them are still at their ages trying to do. And so that was my thing. I'm in a business in which we have our own personal little egos, but for us to be successful, we need the support of others.
We do.
We need that.
Absolutely.
To grow. And I hope that my grandchildren and young people will understand that, because a lot of times they don't get it.
Yeah.
They don't get,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
you got to stand in the gap for someone else, and it's not going to push you away. It's just helping other opportunities.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's what I loved about the whole moment. And when she was confirmed, you couldn't help but to cry with your chest all out.
Yes.
What are
You
saying?
couldn't help
Beautiful
but to.
It was a beautiful
You know, it was
moment.
like that movie that you're like, okay.
Come on. We felt like Celia and Nettie, honey.
Yes.
We had old Celia and Nettie moment, honey.
Right.
But I've seen so many tearful, happy moments lately, and I hope that you know things now just continue to open up like that.
Yes.
And people not to think that just because it's not happening to you, that it won't happen to you.
Yeah.
But if you have to stand in there, if you have to jump in there,
Yeah.
jump in there.
Whether
It's okay.
small or large.
Yeah, hello.
It may not be an office. It may be that you may be the first so-and-so in the position at your job. You may be the first woman in your family that steps out and do that and make that path for your nieces or your children. So it doesn't have to be large. It can still be small, and we can still be great in that and make history. Yeah.
And I like the fact to say that this moment brought in a sense of connectivity.
Sure.
It's especially amongst Black women.
Yeah.
You hear me always say that we don't have to be each other's competition.
Yeah.
That we should be each other's cheerleader.
Yeah.
And on that day, we were definitely cheering.
Oh,
We
yeah.
were
for one another.
cheerleaders. Yeah, we were.
We were definitely cheering for
Yes,
one
we
another.
were.
You know that emoji that the lady that was like this?
Yes.
On that emoji.
Right. Well, that's it today at the Grown Folks Table Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe on all the podcast channels.
Yes.
Goodbye.
See you next time.
See you next time.